Hello, everyone. It's been a minute, man. It's been like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days since I've been live. Welcome in. Let me say hi to people. Let me see who we got in here this evening before I bring Allie up. Hey, Seth. Hey, K-Braze. Hey, Corey. Hey, Lucia, Eddie, Carol, Claus, Deb, Nadie. Hello. Let's see. Eddie, Butterfly Kisses. Hello. I don't want to miss anybody. Ava, Marcus, Annie, good to see you guys. It's been a minute. Hey, Candy Cane, I'm so glad you're here. Shizu Mom, ATS News, welcome. B Crumbs, Yorkie, Angela. Wow, Positively Parker, hello. So good to see you all. Hello, C Star. Hey, Punksy, K Brace, welcome in. Anaphylaxis. I hope I didn't miss anybody or name y'all 11 billion times. Katie, Auntie M, good to see you guys. Hello, Shameda. Hey, Thor, good to see you. Pointer Lover, hey. Hello. Oh, thank you, Eddie. Thank you for joining memberships. Welcome to the Kookaloos. Hello. All right. Let me get a word from our sponsor and I'm going to bring Allie up, okay? All right.
And Kai, when you're on Jen Lou's channel, what do you do with the like button?
Smash, smash, smash! Yeah.
Hey, Allie. How are you, babe?
How are you?
I'm good. You're naked.
Oh my God, of course.
I know. I don't know what it is with the StreamYards lately. It's being weird. It's kind of annoying.
It is annoying. I think it's my internet too, to be honest, or something like that. But
why take accountability? Just blame StreamYard. Come on.
I'll fix it. What are you up to this evening, Jen?
Well, I thought we would go over some of this stuff because I'm really I got to tell y'all my guilty pleasure. Allie knows, and Delaney knows too. I don't know if she's in here or not, but I am like hooked on Bravo shows, and tonight is the season finale of Vanderpump Rules, and Scandival is about to come all the way out. Like I've been waiting for this episode since the season started because so I'm super excited. But I got rid of cable, and so I have to wait until Thursday mornings to watch. But I can wait. I can be patient. It's about to all come out. There she is. Oh boy, with the face.
When I changed that and you got so tickled, that was so funny.
her face is just so cute. I can't take it.
It is
all
so
right.
cute. Well, guilty pleasure boy, because my service, and so that's why I just took the opportunity to change my picture.
I watch a bunch of stuff on Bravo, and tonight is the season finale of Vanderpump Rules, and I've been waiting for this season finale because this is when the whole Scandival situation comes out, and I've been waiting for it since the beginning of the season because it came out. The news of it broke like right before the season started. So yeah, I've been waiting for it, and I don't have cable, so I have to wait until Thursday morning to watch it because I watch it on Peacock because I don't have Bravo. I can't wait because it's gonna be a good one. And then they like had a 3-part. It's gonna be a 3-part reunion, and I cannot wait for that either because these people got messy this season. So yeah.
Was actually also telling me that she was going to watch that tonight.
It's so good.
Hey guys in the chat saying hello to me. Thank you guys at Cement Shoes Store, Pointer Lover. I messed up some. Eddie, Lucia, Blue Heron. Thank you. Or Blue Heron. Isn't that the way you say it? Because I know that's a bird, and there's a hotel right by our house in the ocean that's called the Blue Heron. My
I
kids
think it's heron.
Okay, because my kids say heron. So
I like heron better. Let's call it heron. Blue
okay.
heron. Sounds fancier.
Hey, Ava.
I like
Yeah.
it. And so you guys know, I've told Allie this before, that I like to watch the shows on Bravo. And I was actually kind of thinking, I talked about this before, but I kind of just didn't do it. I was kind of thinking about making the Jen Lou account just like where I talk about, trash TV, reality TV, like movie reviews, stuff like that, because I do need to I need, like, I do take breaks from true crime, but,
Mhm.
like to be able, I know a ton of people watch that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, and to be able to like dish would be fun. So I think
Yeah.
after I get done with my daughter's graduation, because that's like a big thing too. She graduates, the end of school is at the end of this month, but she graduates June 2nd. And so a lot of people are coming from out of town, a lot of family and friends and stuff. And so I'm sure I'm gonna have to be like a whole grown up and host like a party, like a little, something afterwards, a little get together or whatever. And so, I'll be panicking about that and freaking out. So, once I'm done with that, then I think I'll get to work on the second channel because we got a lot to talk about though. A lot.
We do.
Bryan
Hey, Chris.
Kohberger, we got Hey Crime Curious, we got Vallow. These people is doing too damn much, and the grand juries is busy, busy, busy bees. So, what do you want to start with? Should we start with Kohberger or should we start with Vallow?
Oh, you know what? Honestly, either one. I got to be honest with you, Jen. I'm really frustrated because, the Cobra, especially with Idaho, the
Okay.
misinformation that you wouldn't believe some of the comments I've gotten. Actually, I mean, people are fully convinced that the state is trying to pull a slick one. They don't have enough evidence on Bryan. He's innocent. There has been. And it comes from. It's bullshit. I mean, I'm not saying what they're saying is bullshit. I'm saying a lot of the
Uh-oh, you cut out, babe. Uh-oh, I think we lost Allie.
how did that happen?
I don't know, but you were there and then you was
Hello?
gone. Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Screensaver took over while I was in. It's never happened before.
Well,
Anyways, so yeah, I think a lot of crazy theories and stuff happening, and it makes things a little difficult.
she was on a roll, Corey. She was on a whole roll. She was, I'm frustrated and
Sorry.
these are la 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 la. I love it when you get on a roll. And then boom,
My
no internets.
my point was, there's a lot of crazy theories going around, and you wouldn't believe some of the comments I've gotten about him being set up and stuff like that, and it makes things a little difficult. That's all.
It does. All right, so we'll start with Kohberger. Now I have to give y'all just a little speech first before we get started. I almost want to sing you the Bob Dylan song "It Ain't Me, Babe." Okay, because if you come here for like conspiracy theories or a whole lot of speculation, man, it ain't me, babe. I'm no, 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 it ain't me. Because I'm never. I can't. I just. I will never be that person. I'll never be able to do that. So, um, now that song is gonna be in my head. Go lightly from my window, babe. No, no, no. Johnny Cash and God, what's her name? June Carter Cash. They sung it as a duet. It's actually good. It's actually done well. They did a good job. All right,
Love them
so let's.
together.
Me too. Me too. All right. So Oh, thank you, Seth. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hello, Alice. You didn't want to have anything to do with me all day long, and now you want to be directly in my bubble. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. All right, so let's start at the very beginning, okay? Way, way, way back when the probable cause affidavit came out and it was unsealed. And we found out that Dylan had seen something or heard something, right? We read all of that. What happened to Dylan after that on social media?
It was destroyed.
She was tore up. She was completely annihilated. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So this having a grand jury, first of all, to say it's a secret grand jury is redundant. Grand juries are always secret. Okay. They
Yeah.
are
Yes.
not for the public, and the defense doesn't get to attend. That's true. Okay. But the other part of that is that the prosecution has to put on all evidence, inculpatory, which means evidence of guilt, or exculpatory, which is it can be evident. It means evidence of innocence. Okay, but we need to dissect that even a little bit further. So we've all watched trials from time to time. Okay, and any time that the defense, the Murdaugh trial, okay, so when the Murdaugh trial happened and they did all the DNA testing and they had the state's witness come up and talk about the things that they sent off to have analyzed and tested for DNA and compared, right? And some stuff came back and it matched the victims, which you would expect, right? The things that they tested, it should match them. Some of it came back where, like on the steering wheel, if there was a combination of DNA, of Alec, Paul, and Maggie. Okay, but then Maggie's fingernails. Okay, when they did the scrapings, some of the alleles matched an unknown male contributor. Okay, that would be considered exculpatory evidence. Okay, but it doesn't mean that Alex Murdaugh is not guilty of the crime. Okay, it just means that it's
favorable.
Very good. Allie's been paying attention. It is favorable to it's favorable to the defendant. Okay, but it doesn't mean that they have an actual innocence claim. Sometimes it does mean that. Okay, but it takes a lot more exculpatory evidence. All right. So
Exactly.
after that happened, after Dylan went through what she was ripped to shreds on social media. I mean, people blamed her. Why didn't she do this? Why didn't she do that? On and on and on and on. Okay. To the point where the judge felt it was, and so did Bryan Kohberger, felt that it would be appropriate to issue a non-dissemination order or a gag order. Okay. And I know it's frustrating because we want to know what happened. We're desperately trying to figure out what happened and why it happened, right? What these kids weren't doing anything. They weren't they were at home in their beds, right? In their rooms, I should say, because I don't want people to think I'm saying they were literally in their beds, but they were at home in their rooms where they should have felt and been the safest. Okay. And it didn't happen. And they were all murdered. Right. And it was terrible. And we all want to know why that happened. And we all want to know what happened. Okay. However, we got to respect the process. Nobody wants to know the answers more than me, but I also am not willing to find the answers and compromise justice. Okay. So that's why the gag order, which again, Bryan Kohberger, his attorneys who speak for him, are in support of. They want this non dissemination order. Okay. So then there was going to be the hearing. Okay. And what would have happened at the hearing is the public could have attended it in person. I can't speak to how they were going to, whether it was going to be live streamed or not, because I don't know and I don't really remember. It's been a long time. But regardless, you can go in person and attend a hearing like this. Okay. And the state would have put on their witnesses. And at the end, the defense would have been given an opportunity to cross-examine their witnesses, and likely they were going to, and we know that the defense was very interested, but, and I can't state this enough, yes, the state or the defense was interested in hearing what Bethany Funk had to say, but we don't know why. And when you really break down that order, it says potentially exculpatory evidence. We don't, which, okay, what does that even mean? Maybe we talked about
Right.
this. It could have been that maybe she and Dylan were given pictures to look at, and Dylan picked one person and Bethany picked another. That would be potentially exculpatory information for the defense to know that Bethany couldn't identify Bryan Kohberger. Okay. But we don't know. We don't know. And
You know,
so,
they a lot of
go ahead.
evidence when I saw that. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I
you
was
go
just gonna
ahead, babe.
say,
You're
like,
fine.
they do have we have a bit of a delay too, which is my fault, and I hate that. I'm sorry. But so they do have a lot of evidence. They have, you know, it's circumstantial, some of it. But think about this. He was arrested in his underwear in the kitchen, separating his trash and putting it in plastic baggies. And also another thing, Jen, and this is something Wolfie showed me. So there was some paperwork where the prosecution wanted to throw out the DNA evidence on the knife, but not all they didn't want to. They're not saying we're not going to use all of, or we're not going to use the sheath at all, not the knife. The sheath. They didn't say we're not going to use it all. They said we don't want to use the parent or the genealogy DNA, basically. But then they got a direct match. They're not, but people take that and they're like, oh, they've thrown out the sheath. No, they're still using the sheath, and they're using DNA evidence of it being a direct match. But they're saying we're not going to use the genealogy DNA anyways, because the defense was requesting something, and they're like, no, we're not going to use that anyways. I'd have to pull up the paperwork to get it exactly. These are my words, but you know what I mean.
It goes, Allie, you're correct.
But
it goes to fruit of the poison tree. Okay. So when it comes to the search warrant, if the search warrant was granted solely on the basis of the familial DNA on the knife sheath, right? And that was part of the reason that he was arrested, et cetera, that then goes to the fruit of the poison tree. So what happens is, and this is normal, the defense is going to do this. They're going to go through each and every search warrant and item collected to make sure that everything was done on the up and up and it was done correctly. That's how you start throwing things out. So if, you know, familial DNA is not ideal. Okay. Ideally, you would want to have a direct, you would have wanted to get it from Bryan, do the comparison on Bryan himself, right? Which is what they ended up doing. So they don't want that. That's why in the search warrant, that language at the bottom at the end of it that was talking about that sheath was basically telling the judge, listen, don't grant us the warrant based on the evidence pertaining to the knife sheath. Use everything else. Throw out the knife sheath. Don't even, I mean, it's there, but don't base your decision on that. Base it on all this other stuff. Okay. The other reason to go to a grand jury is it's not to be doing things shady, or it's to protect the case. And perhaps, I don't know, because this grand jury was, it's a grand jury. We're not going to know, and it's sealed. Okay. We're not going to know the witnesses, not for a very long time anyway. But let's say Bethany was one of the witnesses. Okay. She was already apprehensive AF, and was too. And this saves them from having to go and sit in front of cameras, if it was live streamed, in front of a bunch of people. So it is soon for them. No, it doesn't seem soon, because for us, we've been waiting for a very, very long time, but it is soon for them. That was the traumatic thing that they woke up to that day. All right. So this keep them from having to continuously go through the trauma and not be that great witnesses, because they are scared, because they're nervous. Okay. Where a defense attorney could, they're young girls. A good defense attorney I am not even a defense attorney, and I could probably get them to crumble on the stand if I wanted to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And, I think I remember in the beginning, I did this on the phone earlier, but we were seeing legal experts saying, I believe they'll do a grand jury because there's so much attention on the case. There's so many rumors. I mean, there's a lot, and just to keep it more secretive, because that's the way it works. We won't, like you said, it's close to even the defense. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it's not as big of a deal that they did this. I don't think it's them to get away with some shady stuff, and they don't have enough evidence, and they're trying to get away. No, all this does is move them to trial a little faster. Now they're skipping a bunch of steps that we would go through, and they're going to start making plans for trial. I'm not saying it's going to happen right now, but I'm just saying, if they didn't have their shit together, why would they want to go ahead and go to trial? And it doesn't make sense.
Right.
I don't know.
So this is what's going to happen. On Monday, he will be arraigned. Okay. And he will say he's either guilty or he's not guilty. I've heard a little rumblings from people maybe speculating there's a plea deal. There's no plea. I would be very surprised. I can't say for sure, because I don't work in the DA's office, because if I did, I wouldn't be live, because I'd be under the non-dissemination order and would be gagged. So I wouldn't be able to talk about it. So but I do not think that they're negotiating a plea deal. So what'll happen is there'll be an arraignment. Bryan plead either guilty or not guilty, likely not guilty, right? The next step will be, does he waive his right to a speedy trial? If he chooses not to waive his right to a speedy trial, the state of Idaho has 6 months to get him to trial. That's very quick.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Melissa.
6 months.
6 months.
Mm-hmm. And they will have to do that, or else that's going to mess up everything. Like, that's why with Lori, they had to go ahead with her.
Correct. Correct.
I wish Wolfie was here so she could put in chat the exact words. Oh, they were, as soon as I said that. Oh my gosh, I was telling Jen about how they were excluding the genealogy DNA, but not the DNA altogether. Can you put that in better words?
Okay. So, okay. The ideal way to have that a prosecution would like to get DNA would have been for them to swab the sheath, which is what they did, and then match it directly to a potential suspect. Okay. But because of the way that Bryan Kohberger was separating his trash and keeping it out of the communal trash, as it were, they had no idea when they picked up whatever it was, and I can't remember what it was right now off the top of my head, whatever it was that they got, that they swabbed for DNA and sent off for comparison, the state would have no idea that it would come back matching his father and not Bryan directly. Okay. But that is what led to other search warrants, which is why the female detective who wrote the Pennsylvania search warrant said, hey, I know we have this DNA match, right? But it's illegal DNA. Okay. So don't take that into consideration when you're to base your whether or not you're going to give me this search warrant. Okay. So because if that had been the decision, right? If that was the thing that caused the judge to issue that search warrant, then everything that came from that search warrant can be considered fruit of the poison tree. Okay. Which means the defense can say, well, see, let's get this thrown out right now, which is what they are going to do anyway. That's their job. That's how it goes. Okay.
Right.
So I want you guys to know this is not the state being sneaky. This happens all the time. Do you guys know that Casey Anthony, she didn't have a preliminary hearing. She was indicted by a grand jury. And yes, traditionally, they say that you can get a ham sandwich indicted in front of a grand jury. However, I can think of a very specific case, and Allie, let's see how good your true crime trivia is, where a case was presented to a grand jury and they decided not to indict. Very famous case, Colorado.
Ooh, I don't know. Who was it?
John Benet Ramsey's parents.
Was
Patsy
it Barry or
John and Patsy Ramsey? They were brought. Yep, they were brought. Yeah, they were brought before a grand jury. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I never knew that. Wow. So they wanted to bring charges on them. I didn't follow like everybody else did. I don't know too much about it. And I knew Barry wasn't the answer. I don't know why I guessed that, but I still guessed it because I'm like, I don't.
Hey, squirrel. Yeah. So there you go. Not every time. Not every time does a grand jury vote to indict. Okay. So it's not.
I can't believe they wanted to. That's interesting. And then they went the rest of their lives without being charged. So yeah, that.
Correct. So not every time does that happen. Go ahead.
Now that happens, then what? Can they come back again, or is it like one of those you can only have one shot at this?
No. Because that's an indictment, not a conviction. An indictment just means that there is evidence that more likely than not, this person or persons committed this crime on this date, and then it goes forward to trial. It goes more if they vote to indict. So they don't always indict. So this is nothing. This isn't shady. This is part of our criminal process. And I suspect this is just ready for this. It's my speculation. I wasn't there. I don't know. I suspect that the state, this was always a possibility. The state has always been able to do this. They didn't have to. They could have done this at any time. And I personally think that they chose to do it. Wolfie wants to know what she's supposed to put in chat, Allie. I think that they chose.
Well, I just wanted you to word that better if I didn't.
Oh.
Sorry.
Okay.
But you got it. We got it pretty good.
Okay. We're good now.
That.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So with this is not anything secret. This isn't this isn't a huge deal. I personally think that they did it because I don't think that they wanted um the the publicity, not in a negative way, that comes with a hearing like that, because we've seen what happened with Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell. Okay. I mean, right up until really the 11th hour, they were going to be tried together. Okay. And there was a ton of publicity surrounding that case. And it is this case, I would say, I would be more inclined to believe that people i- in that part of Idaho have heard about this case a lot more than they heard about Lori and Chad Daybell. And that's just the truth. That this case is bigger and had far more publicity, and it's college town. So, it's everywhere. Everybody's talking about it. And I think that this is a measure to expedite the process. Go ahead, let's get him indicted. Let's see if he's going to waive his right to a speedy trial and move from there. This way, they take less of a
Yep.
risk of the jury pool being potentially tainted, because it is not cheap to file and get a change of venue. It's not cheap. So there you go. That's what I think. I think they have far more evidence than we
Lord,
know.
oh, I do too. Think about how everyone was doubting them before, and then they came out with that arrest affidavit and had all kinds of evidence. I think they're going to have a ton, and I think people are going to be shocked by how much evidence they have. But Lori, excuse me, Chad's case was big. It's big, and Chris Watts was huge, but I think Idaho is even bigger, and maybe it's because when I covered the Watts case, I was just starting, but I mean, I had TikToks hit 1 million views, several of them on Idaho, and that's never happened to me before. That's so, and a lot of other creators did too. That everyone was watching about it on TikTok, on YouTube, on the news, Facebook, everywhere. There was a group with 200,000 people. Remember?
Yes.
Facebook group.
Yes.
So it's
exactly. So when a grand jury indicts a person, what they have found is, based on the evidence presented to them, which it's all the evidence, inculpatory and exculpatory. They call civilian, which would be people like, Bethany or Dylan, right? Both of or either one, right? Both of them or one of them. And then they can call like cops, obviously, detectives, DNA, the lab from the state, the crime lab. Excuse me, I'm having a hard time talking. Evidently, so basically, when they vote to indict, what the grand jury is saying is that it is more likely than not that this person, Bryan Kohberger, committed burglary and first-degree murder, 4 counts, on or about, and that is November 13th. That's what they're saying. So then what will happen is he'll go in front, and he'll go in front of a different judge. So the judge that will be handling his arraignment is Judge John Judge. Seriously, that is his name. So Judge, which I love, is going to preside over this. Now, what I don't know, okay, is what happens with this non-dissemination order. Because now that this judge is presiding over the proceedings, and all of his orders will supersede the court before him. So I don't know what this means for the non-dissemination order. But I would imagine that out of an abundance of caution until it's made very clear, nobody's talking, which is the right thing to do. I would much rather you should much, it's much better to, um, err on the side of caution. Know what I'm saying? And I just want to thank you, Squirrel, very much. I appreciate that. And yes, this is what Wolfie exactly. They are not throwing out the evidence of the sheath. What they don't want considered is how they tied Bryan to it initially, because after his arrest, he gave up the, because he was charged with the felony, they took his DNA, and then bing, bang, boom, there was a match. That's what they're, and I think this is also another big point. They want to keep the witnesses private. This is a way for
Yep.
the state, and let me say this, the attorneys that are representing Kohberger from the public defender's office, this is not their second day on the job. Okay. This his lead attorney is death penalty qualified. That is huge. She is educated and experienced. Education is fantastic. It's wonderful. Everybody should get an education if they can. But there's something to also be said for experience, and she's got both. And this is a way for the state to keep their evidence and the way that they're going. I mean, they're going to be they're giving the evidence over. It's in discovery. They've dumped a bunch of stuff through discovery. It's not like they're hiding anything, but this is, this keeps their witnesses from, being, and let's be honest, they were attacked badly, horribly. I mean, people were saying things like, I'm not going to repeat them. You guys know, we were all there. We know what people were saying about Dylan. We know what was going on. And I mean,
Yeah.
all because of a very vague, intentionally vague, only giving enough information to secure an arrest that was given in a probable cause affidavit. That's not the whole story. Now, I'll tell you this. I am paying attention to this case. You guys know that I am. You know that I'm going to follow it. I will, the hearing will not be, it will not be live streamed. It will be like the other ones. It'll be recorded audio and video, but then, after it's concluded, that's when it will be released. So it won't be live. So, and I don't know moving forward what the trial is going to look like, whether or not that will be streamed or whatever. I don't know, because he just now got the case, so we'll see what he's going to do with it. But at the end of the day, I'm going to follow this case, and you guys know that I will tell you while we're watching the trial, should it be aired, that if there's anything that seems sideways or wrong, you guys know that I'm going to say something. But I just think it's
Yes.
way, 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 way too soon. We
Me too.
We don't have enough information to be saying anything negative about the state. And that's just my opinion.
I agree with you. And Jen, think about this. Before the arrest affidavit came out, before he was arrested and we knew who it was, think about all the rumors about who it was, all the lies. It's, Jack S, it's Jack D. I was even considering it with some of these people. Hannah's involved, this person's involved, the fraternity. Most of the things that we heard on social media turned out to be not true at all. At all. But if you go
unless
based
you
on
listen to me.
No, but you know
because
what
I said it's not going to be anybody that we've heard of. And when it comes out
But
about who it is, we're all going to be like, what? Go ahead.
That's why
Sorry.
I think it's important to wait. Okay, but that's why I think it's important to wait for like court paperwork and to hear from police, because we get it wrong all the time. I'm not going to sit here and, like, you know what I mean? That's just the truth. Not we as in me, because I also,
No,
like,
I know what
I
you mean.
wondered if it was something. But yeah, I'm just saying social media in general gets it wrong all the time. I'm not going to put my money in anything I hear from any inside source, any interview with their voice change from so and so. No, none of that kind of stuff from Ashley Banfield, from anywhere. If unless it's like a legit source very close to the investigation or family member, then I'll put a little bit of weight in it. But I still like to wait for the facts.
Agreed. And ATS News is correct. Anytime there is an unaliving, the investigation starts inward with the people closest to the victim, and then they work outward. That's how it goes. So
That's true. Yeah.
to say, well, like, what to maybe it was somebody close to them. That's like, it's not out of the realm of possibilities, but for whatever reason, when this happened, for me personally, I just felt like it wasn't going to be somebody that the victims knew, and that when we all found out who it was, we were all going to be surprised. And when they busted out with Bryan Kohberger, I was surprised. I was like, huh, that's who did it.
You guys both said that, you and Teresa, because I remember you're like, just because everybody's so certain they know it's one of these people, it's just chances are watch it not be, or something like that, But
I just felt like the person who did this did it with to go into somebody's home and with six people in it and unalive 4 with a knife, of all things, and leave 2 survivors. That takes some guts. That takes some, not guts in a good way. But I just didn't think that the person who did this would be caught on camera with the victims just a few hours before they ended up being unalived.
Right. I think that, when we got that video, first of all, the video from the food truck, that did look a little suspicious. But once we got the video of him walking down the sidewalk with them, at that point, I was like, okay, he does seem to be more of like just looking out for them, just genuinely being their friend. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, that was crazy. I'll be so excited for the trial. But I do think Parker said this earlier, and I think she's so right. It's probably going to be much more graphic than we can imagine. And, think about how with, and how, hearing that, and that's going to be tough. And it's going to be tough. Amber always has the good point.
She does. We don't know how he knew them, if he knew them at all. We don't know. We do not. And the thing of it is, I don't know yet if the state has has connected him in any really meaningful way. Do you know what I mean? Like, other than prior, like, did somebody remember seeing him casing the house? Not somebody in the house, but maybe one of the times when they were having a party. Did somebody come out from the house and notice that he was there? Something, something like that. I don't know that they have anything like that.
Well, if you listen to, I think, Ashley Banfield, that remembered, and maybe People Magazine, supposedly he was texting them, messaging them on Instagram, or something like that. One of them, but we don't know who. But that's according to like those sources. So I don't know.
Who? Grammy Nene, you got me on 2 times speed. Is that what you're doing over here? Let me look. Oh, the Saturday trivia on 2 times speed. Good night, Seth. I don't know, because I feel like I feel like they might have put, I don't know, maybe not. That would have been a better connection to them. That would have been more substantial in a probable cause affidavit. But again, I don't know. I don't know. We're all those, but I will say that this, I do remember when Gannon went missing initially, right? And I was watching Letitia and I was like, what the fuck? I couldn't figure her out then, right? And I was like, bruh, what is she doing with her back the back to the camera interview with the news station had me just completely scratching I could not get my brain around that one. I could not understand why she did that, because that was a huge red flag to me, because usually obviously she is, deranged, but not legally insane. I want to make that very clear. Obviously she has some wrong ass thinking, but you would think if going
Hey,
along
Lori.
with her story, hey Lori, with going along with her story that he was kidnapped, right? That you would want to make a plea to the person or persons who had your child. And the only way you can do that is if they look
Yeah.
you in the face. And that she didn't do that. Instead, she didn't want her face shown, as if we didn't know what she looked like. She was all over the Facebook groups, not only as herself, but as other people. You know,
She damn sure was.
she was. And then
I just don't
as
her because
go ahead, babe.
I just don't understand people like that who are like that. Like it's you draw more attention to yourself like that. You know what I mean? And how did you ever expect to be believed with all these different stories and all these different lies and all the crazy stuff? And just I don't know. She's
That's
wild
what
as
I'm
hell.
saying. She was wilding out from day one. Okay?
Uh-huh.
She started, from day one. Oh, I am still a little upset at Leticia. I sure am. Trash bag. Anywho, but I mean, but the candle thing. Remember how before his trial, even, when we knew that when we were talking about the case leading up to when opening statements started, because the trial actually starts with jury selection. But when we were all talking about it, like leading up, to opening statements, waiting while we were listening to jury selection, and the one piece of evidence that we never could connect correctly, or not connect correctly, didn't understand how it fit, was that candle. But we all were of the opinion that the candle was important and it was meaningful, because it is the only dadgum detail that crazy heifer repeated over and over, and almost not the story from that actually didn't deviate. I mean, she did downplay it to
Yeah.
Albert, but the bulk of the story did not actually change. That was the one thing she kept straight. That was it.
Yeah, and
So
we
we
know
all kind
something.
of knew. Yeah.
Mm.
We all kind of knew, but then and then there was the other thing that we found out during trial, which was the order in which the injuries occurred. I, like many, thought that it was the blunt force, then the stab, then the shot. and that's shots, and that's not what happened. So, I mean, we are going to learn what took place. Let me explain it. No, let me put it better. We're going to learn what the state thinks happened that night. There will be details
Right.
that we're never going to know because, truth be told, they reside within whoever committed this crime. Those are details that only the killer knows. And there's always some questions that the state cannot answer. Motive, that's why they don't make it a requirement to prove motive, because I disagree that Lori, I don't know that it was sex and power and money for Lori Vallow. I don't. Because if it was about money, why the hell was she with Chad? Because she had to have known. Even look, they had started their mission of finding 144,000 people in 2000, what, 18, 19? Was it? Yeah, right? 2019.
Yeah. Well, that's when
Okay.
like Charles and, but I
Well,
don't
they all
know. They
started
like
getting to, yeah. When did they start hanging out?
it was that November before. Remember when they
Okay,
met?
that's
Wasn't
right.
it
That's
28?
right. Yes. Okay. So they
Mhm.
started in 2018 trying to collect 100, well, whatever 144,000 minus 2 is. Okay. By 2020, they were up to 6 people. And that's being generous. Okay. So if it surely, I mean, Lori's been
Well,
out in the world. She knew that there was that she knew that when, especially when, she wasn't the beneficiary. And I mean, look, Lori knows how money works. She knew they weren't going to be able to live off of everybody forever, and so if it was all about money for her, Chad was the wrong way because he had zero earning potential. Let's be honest. I don't think it was about the money for her. Chad, yes. Lori, no.
I see. I agree with you, but with Lori, it's hard because you sit here, not you, me, you, all of us. We sit here and we try to like figure out why and what she was doing, but then I think like Lori doesn't think logically. I don't believe she
No,
does. So I
no.
don't believe we'll ever be sense of it because and that sucks. And like you said, the things that we'll never know, that is what bothers me the most. Like with Lori, there are things we will never know too. Who exactly
Exactly.
did what and why? You know? Yeah, we have this
Exactly.
psychic version that we talk about and could be possible, but come on. Like we really will never know. And I just it sucks. It really sucks.
Yeah, but Pointer Lover, here's the thing about that. She might have been counting on that, okay? But even Lori's been out in the world
Just
long enough to know that $1 million isn't going to go that far, particularly if you're supposed to collect 144,000 people and you're on 6. That is a long way from 6 to reach the total of
hey, they
144,000. Okay?
might have had
That
like 10
million
kids.
was gonna go real quick with nobody working and on a mission to find the other 144,000 minus 6. Okay? So,
Oh, left-handed RN. Me and Jen were talking about that juror interview
yes, and we're gonna play it.
before. Oh, we are, yay! Because I only got to watch like the first maybe few minutes, 5 or 10
Yeah,
minutes. Because
yeah, we're
yeah.
gonna play it. Because I wanna start segueing into, Vallow. So,
Oh, okay.
in conclusion, you guys, seriously, I know that it was unexpected for us. I listen, when I saw the tweet this morning, I was shocked too. I was like, "Whoa," because I had thought, okay, they went ahead with a preliminary hearing, so they're not going to go and indict him. I mean, we're really like a month out from an indictment or from the preliminary hearing. That's what I thought. And so, I mean, I was surprised too, but I guess for me, I didn't see it. It's on East Idaho News, right, Allie? Or was it
Yeah.
from Law
Yeah.
and Crime? Okay, East Idaho News. Um,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Wasn't it Nate Eaton interviewing him?
I
I
think
think so,
so.
yeah.
I think so.
Because that's
So,
on the Means, his other family channel. Because
yeah,
Nate
yeah.
has been
Here it
putting
is.
his.
Here it
I think he's
is.
trying to build a channel, which, you know what? I should start watching the videos over there.
We
Because,
should.
well, I think, does he own East Idaho News?
I'll have to look that up because that I don't know.
I feel like
I
I
never
feel
really
like me. I swear we looked that up before, and he's
did
helped
we?
start it or something about, because we were looking up if he was Mormon, and
Oh,
then
yeah,
when
yeah,
I
yeah.
searched it, see, and I think that he helped start it or something like that.
I
But
feel
I'd
like,
have to,
hey,
we'd have
Riddler,
to.
I feel like that's correct. I do feel like you're right about that. For whatever, I do feel like we did do all of the things that you just said we did. I do think that did happen.
Yeah, because he went on a mission. Remember, I was like, dang, he did a mission. He was like serious. Because remember, they said that the church sent out letters asking people not to participate in the trial without talking to them and stuff. And I was like, there's no way he could report on it like this and be Mormon, but he was or is.
Right. Look at what Law Nerd wrote. Law Nerd Amber wrote. Thank you, Law Nerd Amber. That made my day. ATS News says no, he doesn't own East Idaho News.
Let me look this. Hold on. Did he help start it or something like that?
I can't
Was he was
remember. That's all that thing has gone out of my brain. And I
okay?
do
I'm
think
gonna
that
look.
it's interesting that this juror does think that it was about sex, money, and power. Because it's not necessary for the state to prove motive, but that's the motive that they put through, but that's the motive that they put forth to the jury. And to be fair, the jury doesn't know all the things that we know. There was a whole lot of stuff, like we know all about Melanie BP. The jury didn't get to hear from her at all, you know?
I
So maybe
know.
that might be why I wonder now if we were to, like, hey, juror, call
Hey,
me. I want to like
I love.
do a study session with this juror that gave the interview, and see if after watching all the things that he wasn't allowed to watch because he's a juror, if he changes his mind, because I'm curious about that, because I want to know. He saw stuff that, of course, I didn't get to see.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And he got to watch her every day. I found about Nate Eaton real quick. It says,
Okay.
number one, this is interesting. He wanted to be a reporter ever since he was a little kid. He grew up watching the news every night and pretended to be the weatherman. He borrowed camcorders and made videos of himself doing it as a little kid. That's adorable. But anyways, he went to BYU, which is a Mormon college. He covered many high profile stories. Let's see. Over the years, in 2015, Nate moved back to Idaho Falls and helped launch EastIdahoNews.com. The website quickly became Eastern Idaho's leader for news and continues to grow. So he helped launch it. I don't know who owns it, but he definitely helped launch it, because this is on EastIdahoNews.com. They have a About Nate section.
Well, there you go.
Let's see. I know.
Mrs. O
Yeah, let me
says,
see.
please don't take this wrong. What does the agenda look like for trials now? What you mean, Mrs. O? What do you mean the agenda? Like my schedule? Because for me personally, and Allie too, I think I know for me the next trial that's coming up is Boone. And you know I am all the way here for one Sarah Boone. I have been waiting
Oh,
and
I'll
waiting
be.
and waiting and waiting and waiting for that trial.
We should do like
Um,
we with Cameron
yes.
and do like nightly recaps and daily streams of the trial and stuff like that. Like, yeah, that'll be
Yep, and
fun.
we got to bring Truth Teller in because she'd be loving some Sarah Boone too.
Yeah. Oh yes, that would be awesome. And I know she at least that's one that she'll be there with us for the whole.
Sarah Boone hasn't been moved. She has not been moved, Mrs. O. So she's still on track. So I think as far as and in August, Court TV will be covering the Alex Murdaugh civil trial with the boat lawsuit. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that, so, but I'll definitely support you guys in that. But yeah, I never got into that one. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't even know the story. The one that did interest me was like the boat or the like the
This is the
boat
civil trial
accident.
for that, babe.
And then Stephen Smith, that
Yes.
interests me. Like the kid with the teenagers, that was more like, but like, something. I don't know. That case just gives me.
Well, this is the civil
ugh.
trial. So the defendants in the civil trial are the owners of the gas station where the alcohol was purchased, and then Alec
Mm.
Murdaugh. Yeah, he'll be there.
Oh wow.
ATS News. He sure will be. Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, that's interesting. So that's
Yep.
over the boat. Which now that is kind of, I listened to a little bit about like his behavior at the hospital afterwards and some of that, and I thought that, like I said, that's like the part that did interest me some. But
Yes.
the rest I don't know anything, and I don't know enough about it to like really talk
All
about
right.
it on
I'm
a
looking
live.
up
But
Chad's trial because I want to see when he
I want to talk about Melanie. I'm wondering.
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
Lori has been indicted for the attempted murder of Brandon Bourduex. What does that mean for Melanie to you? And how could she not be charged? You know, how could she not? What do you think?
Hold on. I'm reading something really quick.
Okay.
Okay. When is Chad
Hey,
Daybell's
Maria.
trial? Hey, Daybell's trial has not yet been scheduled. The judge in the case, Judge Stephen Boyce, ruled in March that Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow would be tried separately, granting a motion to sever the trials by Daybell's attorney. Yada yada. We already got that. Whatever. Daybell had earlier waived his right to a speedy trial. His attorneys had asked in January to delay the joint trial initially set for April until 2024, but the judge had ruled against the motion, saying Lori Vallow-Daybell had not waived her right to a speedy trial. We know when that started. Boyce said it could
Wait,
be
didn't they?
delayed by more than 6 months, but it's unclear when that would be. So maybe October.
They just had a.
I
Didn't they
know
just
this
have
was
a hearing?
It was. This was 5 days ago, though, that they wrote that this was written.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because that must be right after hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The way that's, interesting.
So soon.
Oh, I hope we don't have.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so do you want me to play the thing with the juror real quick, and then we'll talk about all this other stuff with Vallow with Lori?
Yeah.
All right. Let me
Yeah.
add it to the stream. Are we ready? Let me make sure closed captions are on. And here we go. It's 37 minutes. So we're going to have to go ahead and put this up to 1.25. I can't listen to anything on normal speed anymore.
I'm Hernandez. He was your number Daybell trial that just wrapped a few days ago.
I'm going to have a cigarette.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
A little tired.
Not be at room this morning to actually be out here in sunshine and enjoy. I'm sure night.
Yeah, it's an overwhelming time, and I think I'm happy that we did our job, and I'm happy that it's done, and I can move on and do a bunch of things I've neglected.
Sure. All right. Well, let's go back to the beginning before you were selected as a juror. What did you know about the case? Not much.
I didn't know much. My wife watches these shows, and oftentimes, I walk in a room and she's watching the show, and she watches so many that I know I caught pieces of a documentary. Sometimes when I work from home, I like to have the TV on the background, and I heard again some pieces about it, but I didn't know as much as I do now. Of course.
Sure. So then you get the jury summons, and what's interesting is, Saul, you've served before on juries.
Correct. Yeah, this is my the third time I have been summoned, and the third time I've been selected.
Wow. So were you thinking this might be just another short day or two trial like your previous ones?
So I didn't know what to think. I thought for sure they're gonna look at me and say, "Hey, this guy has been here twice before in the last 8 years.
Yeah.
Let's kick him out."
That's not what happened.
That's not what happened.
Let's describe the process when you went down to the courthouse.
Man, it was clearly something was happening, because the previous two times I didn't remember seeing that many people. And when I showed up, there were quite a few more people. And again, I didn't know what trial it was for. When our group had got a chance to move into the courtroom, I still hadn't realized it was her. I thought it was an attorney, a bunch of attorneys.
But she was sitting there.
She was sitting there.
Yeah.
And then maybe about 20 minutes later or 10 minutes later, once the judge started explaining, and I looked at her and I said, "Oh, wow, that is her."
So I'm sure your wife was curious because she knew the trial was coming up.
Mhm.
And did you want to be a juror? Did she want you to be a juror?
No, I don't think any of us really wanted that. Once I told her, obviously it piqued her interest.
Yeah.
And we talked about what if. But yeah, I don't think any of us really had any expectations. I didn't know this then, but I know it now. I think there were at least 1,200 people summoned, maybe more. I don't know.
Yeah, there were a lot of people, and it took a week to pick all of the jurors, and every day it was questioning of each of the jurors who went down until they got to the final group. And then each side, I believe, got 8 or 12 strikes where they could just cancel however they wanted. And then you found out, the Friday before it started, that you were an official juror?
Yeah, it was Friday. We were again requested to come back on. Well, I was requested to come back on Thursday, and when I showed up, I knew then that I was one of a potential 48, 60 people, something like that.
So the trial starts, and you know that you're going to be there for up to 10 weeks. And one of the first things the prosecutor said in opening arguments was, this is a case about money, power, and sex. And looking back, is that how you would describe the case, the trial?
At first, I felt it was a reach, and maybe a reach for them to start that way. And over time, as time progressed, evidence showed up and testimony was given. Yeah, it became clear to me it was really about money, power, and sex.
One of the things, I told you this last night at dinner, but I noticed that you were taking a lot of notes. And there were some jurors where I had a better view of. You were one that I was able to see, especially in the beginning. You were taking a lot of notes, and you seemed intently focused. And it seemed like you took your job serious. Was there a witness or a piece of evidence that really kind of solidified the case in your mind?
I would tell you the forensic people, the forensic scientists, were key, I think, for me, because when they present that kind of evidence, it's black and white. You remove feeling from it, and there was so much throughout the trial that oftentimes it got confusing. Timelines, and depending on which one of the prosecutors got up there were times it got confusing. But I think for me, Detective Hart or Investigator Hart,
Doug Hart, FBI,
he really brought, if there were any loose ends in my mind or questions I had, he brought them together at the end for me, and were very helpful.
He was one of the last witnesses, I think the second to last witness or third, and he was on the stand a whole day.
Yeah.
And he went through Lori's iCloud.
Yes.
So that you're saying that's what was impactful, seeing all those text messages.
I mean, not just the text messages, but the timeline, right? You start something from 2018 and then it progresses. You can see the relationship evolve from a potential, maybe inappropriate friendship to clearly having an affair. And then now they're putting their brains together as to how they are going to execute murder of not one but multiple people.
Do you think Lori was the mastermind now after seeing through that trial, or Chad?
I think same thing. I think as you start to look at all the evidence provided and you understand the timeline from the start to the end, to me it felt like Chad was really the driver. He was clearly in the driver's seat at first. Lori liked what she heard. She was a goddess. She was married to this very powerful being, and through multiple lives. And over time, again, you see the relationship evolve to the point that at some point, Lori takes the driver's seat, takes the wheel, and Chad's okay with it. Chad lets that go because in my mind, he wanted one thing from her, and once he secured that, he was okay letting her take the lead role,
Letting her drive the car.
Yeah, I mean, and she has that personality based on what I saw. She likes to lead.
And again, another thing you mentioned last night were those text messages when they had their first fight, and how Lori was ignoring Chad.
Yeah.
What did you think of that? Those encounters?
That blew my mind. That blew my mind because when you think about, I can see a teenager, a kid being so impressionable that they may fall for something like that. But when you think about an adult that has lived a lifetime, and he is telling her that has no protection, and then she acknowledges it, and he goes to the point of saying, "You need to give me a thumbs up emoji." That blew my mind. I couldn't comprehend how that even made sense for her to be like, okay.
And then she writes back, "I love you," and he says, "Okay, I'm going to restore all your powers." It's
something like that.
Yeah, something along those lines. We also heard in the trial phone calls between Lori and her son and her sister Summer. How did those affect you?
Yeah, Colby's and Summer's testimony was powerful. It was very powerful. I think when Colby came to the stand, I could feel his anger, and I was angry for him. I think hearing the pain in his voice, expressing to his mom what she did. I don't know, man. It was out of this world. And then Summer was, again, very, very powerful, telling her how much she loves her, how much she still loves her. It was really hard to sit through that.
You also heard the podcast that the defense was able to get in, and you were able to hear Lori talk about how she had seen Jesus. I don't know if you remember that part, but that was the way that the defense got that in, so that you all could hear her without her having to be cross-examined by the prosecution. What did you think of her words on that podcast? It was a testimony she gave from years ago, but still you heard her, state of mind.
From what I remember, almost like a fantasy, like her reality is one, but it's really, I think for most people, it's just a fantasy. And again, very much a leadership role through that podcast. And then I think she liked the power that gave her, the authority figure that it made her be to those people.
Do you believe that she really thinks she's a goddess?
Honestly, in my mind, yes. Once there all the evidence that we saw, it's hard to answer that, but in her world, in her reality, yeah.
Describe sitting in your every.
Okay, I just wanted to pause here real quick for a little bit of, oh, excuse me, I got hiccups, commentary. What do you think so far, Allie?
I think it's kind of cool because, I was just thinking about this. What he's saying is really how we feel too. Colby's call was so touching, and that was really, a huge part of this to us too. And also Summer, her testimony. And it's interesting because we've all been following it forever, and he's just heard about it all in this short amount of time. And I kept wondering, are they really able to fully grasp all of this in just a couple weeks? And
The
I think that it
magnitude,
seems like
yeah.
he did, but I don't. What do you think?
I think you're right. I always wonder, we've been following this since 3 years now, and we even have to go back and get all the details. I wondered too if they would be able to grasp the magnitude of of the situation the way that it seems like us true crime junkies do. you know? And I think that I find he's thinking pretty much exactly the same thing that we were. I do think that those text messages um, tied it all together. And remember, I had talked about, I said that I didn't think that that Lori was just this brainwashed follower of Chad's. That I felt like she was, to use his words, in the driver's seat. He was driving the car, or she was driving the car too. And I and those text messages, I think, showed that. They showed exactly that, and they showed the progression. They showed exactly what he said. You know how it started off as they had the hots for each other, and once they both agreed that they had the mutual hots, which, let me just say this, um then they began plotting, scheming, and planning. And I think that they used multiple people as intermediaries and as shields, if you will, to, act like they were just friends up until the point where uh, Tammy was murdered. You know, everybody that was around them, even in their inner circle, were pawns. Melanie BP was a pawn. Melanie G was a pawn. David Warwick was a pawn. Ian was a pawn. Audrey was. They were all Dilemma. Alex. They were all pawns. Because I don't think this was at all about. Um, I, I think that, I don't know. I just, they were all pawns. They were just all pawns for them. And I think that had this continued, had they not been caught, had Kay and Larry Woodcock not sounded the alarm initially when when they weren't able to talk to JJ. If they had just sat back and been like, well, Lori says everything is fine. And not pursued it the way that they did, who knows how many bodies, would eventually, what the toll would have been, I think definitely
Yeah.
Melanie B's kids, if Brandon hadn't have been heads up and said, "Oh, hell no,"
Oh my God. Yeah. That is,
so
I was scared for them hearing those texts. I can't imagine how he must have felt, because that's probably the first time he heard those like that. Investigators aren't going to give up like full on information. We've learned that. I mean, they might warn you about some things, they should, but sometimes they don't even do that. But they won't go in detail before the trial I wonder how Brandon felt like hearing that. I don't know. Because
well,
even Gannon's mom, Landon, said like she learned several new things in there. They couldn't tell everything,
mhm, exactly, exactly. Oh no, cement shoes. I hope everything is okay. I hope they're feeling better. If you need anything, you know where my email is. Just let me know. I'll do what I can. Um,
Oh, I
I
missed
know.
it.
Uh, Cement Shoe said, "Sorry, it took me so long to get back. I have an ill family member." I just
Oh, I'm
feel,
sorry.
yeah. Well, you know that I'm thinking of you, Cement Shoes, and I'm sending out all the good juju in the world to you, okay? And your family. Um, I just think, well, I like, okay, I we don't know positively, Parker. We don't. I personally, this is what I think. I think Alex did something to himself,
I do
but
too.
but
I just don't think it was.
officially, it was a pulmonary embolism.
Yeah. That, but I think other things could have caused that. I really do. And think about
Oh
it,
yeah,
just because him and Tammy both have that. And yeah, just it's
yeah,
too convenient. The very day after he was, what do you call
yeah.
it when they take him out of? Yeah, the very day that they
Exhumed.
yes. I mean, I can't find the right word.
Is it gummy time?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Me too.
But also,
Yeah.
I probably do that all the time.
Well,
I lose
have
my
you
train
met me? I'd be fumbling around all the days.
Uh-huh. Let me Google that just to make sure. But I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was the day after they exhumed Tammy's body. You know, Chitty Chatty Meg? I don't think so.
Except for right now, I'm not taking
Oh, you're not?
except for right now. No, I'm taking like this syrup, like strawberry lemon
Ooh.
syrup, and it's THC, but it also has a CBN, which is like another cannabinoid that's good for sleep. And it works really good.
Ooh.
But
This is a good theory, too. My theory. Alex
yeah,
was a junkie and they gave him a hot dose. Wasn't Zulema a pharmacist or something close? Very possible. I'm sorry, Annie. Oh, I know. I know. Well, I've been
so
okay,
yeah,
so go
that was
ahead.
right.
What?
It's a pulmonary embolism, but it's bilateral pulmonary thromboemboli is the scientific word for it. But yeah,
Mm.
that's what. If I said
That
that
just
right at
it
all.
doesn't sound fun at all. I'll pass. I think I forgot what I was gonna say. So I've been going back, you guys, because Allie and I want to do a really deep dive um into the trial while we wait for the next trial, which is Boone. And because we went into a great detail with Leticia Stouck's trial, and I think that we should go into great detail with Lori's trial. Um, and I think we kind of we're definitely going to be doing deep dives on the B team, which would be the Melanies, David Warwick, Zulema, um, Ian, you know, their inner circle. And to that end, I've been going back and watching a lot of stuff about Melanie. In fact, today I was watching her interview after Brandon was shot at. And y'all,
Oh yeah,
if y'all have, yeah, we're going to definitely have to discuss that because holy moly, the stuff that
I
she says in
do
there and the,
whole, why
what,
don't
babe?
why don't we do a whole night on Melanie and do like her crazy videos dancing and singing? That's short, and then
Mm-hmm.
her interview and stuff. And because with Lori being indicted, and I don't know, I think that would be really interesting. Or it might be a couple nights. It's
Yeah, we're probably
can get.
gonna have to yeah, we're gonna have to take it a few nights because I agree with you. Okay, so we all know what happened this week with Lori Vallow. So she was indicted. A grand jury indicted her um, on conspiracy to commit murder against Brandon Bourduex. Okay, and many people. Now, when that news broke, the first video I saw about it was on Law and Crime. So you know your girl, while they're talking all their and explaining everything, I'm going through the comments section. And at that point, it wasn't that many comments. It was only like, I don't know, maybe 75. I promise you that out of that 75, 70 of them were saying, "When is Melanie BP?" Well, they all call her Melanie P, but or Melanice. When will she be indicted? Will she catch charges? And I've been really, really, really thinking about this. And a lot of people don't understand why Arizona is doing this in the first place. And I will say what I think the reason is. I'm not them. This is just speculation on my part based on my experience and training. which mainly is watching true crime and trials. That's my experience and training. So I'm not really gonna, I don't think I would be qualified to testify as an expert witness. I'm not sure though. Different states have different thresholds. Probably in Florida though, I could be qualified. Good
In
night,
Virginia,
Mel Mel.
Yep. You are definitely West Virginia.
So
For sure.
here, thank you. Here's the deal. Okay. They're doing a pre-sentencing hearing, and what will likely be Lori's sentence, it will likely be life without the possibility of parole, right? So people are like, well, why would Arizona bother? Because Lori has appeals. And you never know about appeals. Do I think that she has a chance? Ooh, I don't know, because it depends on what they base their appeals on, and the way that a judge would interpret it. Okay. So the other thing is, when Ted Bundy committed the murders that he committed in Florida, he was first tried for the murders at the sorority house. Okay. And he was found guilty and he was sentenced to death. And then Florida tried him for the murder of, I never remember her name, the 12-year-old. Oh, bless it. Help me out, chat. Ted Bundy's last victim, the 12-year-old. Hold on. It'll come to me, or somebody in chat will give it to me. Hold on, let me Google out. Anyway, they didn't, I mean, it was Florida. It happened in Florida. He had already gotten the death penalty, and people wanted to know, well, what Kimberly Leach, why did Florida try him for Kimberly Leach's murder? And the truth of the matter is, the DA said, the prosecutor in that case said, because she deserved to have justice, and this was a way for her to get justice. So to that end,
Right.
Charles Vallow deserves justice. He was murdered. Brandon
Yeah.
Bourduex
And Brandon
deserves justice. They were going
he
to
almost
unalive him.
right. They wanted him dead, and they damn sure tried to do it. So, what's it? Just because
Exactly.
it didn't work, they shouldn't be punished.
Exactly. So,
But Melanie's.
Well, this is what I'm curious about. What I'm curious about is the timing of it. I am wondering if, when Arizona charged Lori with conspiracy against Charles Vallow, even though they know that Alex is the one who pulled the trigger. I mean, Alex admitted to that. They ruled it self-defense, but it wasn't. Obviously, it was homicide and murder. And so Lori is not a principal in that. Okay, she's not the person who did the actual unaliving, but she was there. And I was wondering if, when they were conducting that investigation, if when they got search warrants for, like, the electronics, for, like, their phones and computers and stuff like that, how far back or forward they were allowed to go with their searches. So what if what occurred with the iCloud reading of the text messages is what got, because that's where, those text messages were very, very, very telling, both on Lori's part and Melanie BP's part, for sure. How much more involved she was than she and Ian wanted to make out they were in their interviews with East Idaho News.
The one kid had 8%. The one kid had an 8% score, which means he was almost about to be killed. Like he was
Yes.
that's scary. I
Yes.
cannot believe that these freaking people. Oh. So do you think that Melanie will be charged?
I think
And
there's a
if
good
not, how?
possibility. I think there's a very good possibility that she will be. The statute of limitations doesn't. Now, it's a little different for Brandon. Okay. There is no statute of limitations on murder in any state in the United States. There is a statute of limitations, though, on attempted murder. Please allow me to look it up. Let me look it up for Arizona,
Okay.
because that's where it happens. So let's see. Oh dear. This is going to get me on a damn list.
I find Bundy's case to be so interesting. I've watched like all the movies, the documentary with his girlfriend, like the real lady. And then there was a movie like about their relationship, but that she helped make. Remember that? Like the lady that
Yes.
he was dating. Yeah, that was, oh my gosh. And I wonder why, like, his typical victim at the end, like that, why the age was so different. I mean, they were usually young, attractive women, young
Mm-hmm.
ladies. So what, I wonder why, like 12 is young. I was 12 or 13.
I have to. There's nothing like. All right, this Arizona statute of limitations is 7 years for most felonies. So I'm curious. So let's just go with that.
So,
Okay? Let's just go with that. Let's just say for argument's sake that that's
gee,
what it is. I'm sure it's more specific. I'm sure it's longer. Because attempted murder is not murder. There's no statute of limit, but I don't know how that goes. 6 years, Riddler? Okay. So we're only on what?
that is
Year 4 from
3.
2019?
Yeah.
4 years?
Yep.
Okay, so they still have another 3 years if they wanted to, but I feel like, or 2, either if it's 6 or 7. So I think that, they might have stepped aside and let Idaho have Melanie and let Melanie be a free woman. I mean, the truth of the matter is the same attorney has represented Melanie B, Melanie G, and Zulema. Eric Smith.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. So,
Wow.
yeah.
What?
Yeah. So the thing of it is, Arizona might have just taken a step back and just waited. Just to see what, I think that there is a very, very good chance that Melanie BP is going to get charged with something in Arizona. And to be quite honest with you, see, I've always been troubled by that statement that Ian Pawlowski wrote. Pawlowski wrote
Yeah.
at the end when he is so
Like blaming the cops and
blaming the
stuff.
cops, like, yeah. And so I think that because like I truly believe that, and I can't prove this, you guys. I mean, not right now. I can't. Maybe I can when me and Allie go back and do the like deep dive, particularly on the inner circle. I find it very suspicious that Zulema, Melanie G, well, we don't know what Melanie has to say. Melanie P has to say. Ian, David Warwick, Zulema, did I say her? when they testify, they forget the same things. Their memory is real fuzzy and hazy around certain specific events and certain specific times. But it's not like if Allie and I were having a conversation and I might not be able, we experienced the same thing, right? But our memory shouldn't be fuzzy about the same at the same time, right? So let's say Allie and I spend a week together, okay, hanging out. I might not be able to remember Wednesday, but Allie might not be able to remember Thursday or Friday. Do you see what I'm saying? We both would not be able to remember a specific event on Wednesday. Like that seems to be their pattern. And I find that
Well,
very suspicious. I think that they're all still believers.
I do too. They all have the same attorney. That is so bizarre to me. Now, let me ask you, how is Lori the only one who, like, let's say that she is the only one charged. She is so far. How? She wasn't, I mean, it was everybody. And it definitely included Melanie, Chad, Alex. Obviously, he can't be charged, but, you know, I mean, Chad was there when they went to the storage building to take the seat out and stuff. Like, remember, he grabs her butt either on the way in or on the way out. He's there.
Well, Lori wasn't charged with it up until recently, or indicted for it up
Right.
until the other day. So maybe they're coming. Maybe it's coming out of the stuff that came out during this trial. I find it very interesting that they didn't need Melanie Pawlowski's testimony, to be quite frank. Those texts, I can't even talk, texts spoke for themselves about who did what, but as far as Lori goes, right? What she knew, when she knew it, what she was saying, all the things, right? She was an active participant, not some, brainwashed and, naive babe in the woods. Know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they were very eye-opening. And I have a feeling that that is what is going, that they're not out of the woods yet. I mean, the fact of the matter is that, and this could mean something and this could mean nothing, but I do find it interesting who they chose as people to compare that hair found on the duct tape to. They didn't just look
I
at
know.
Lori and Chad and Alex. They
Mhm.
compared Tylee, which they would, that's standard protocol. They would compare Tylee and they would compare JJ just to make sure, because obviously. But it wasn't their hair, it was Lori's hair. But they compared Melanie Gibbs' hair to see. They used her
Yes,
sample.
and remember, we looked it up that night if they did after or before her testimony, and it was actually after. Remember? Because we were like, dang, they went back and got, well, no, it was the tools in the shed that they did after, right? Because we went it when they went and got back, because also compared her DNA to those.
Yes. Melanie is not out of the woods, and I do not think that Chad is going to turn on Lori. I don't think, not like you, I don't know, depends on how you guys mean turn on Lori. I think that Chad's defense is, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I think
No, I
Chad's
want to hear
defense
what you
is going to be very, very similar to Lori's. There'll be a little poking here and there, the way that Lori's defense attorneys did, but as far as a full rollover where he's straight blaming Chad, or where Chad is straight blaming Lori, I think that Chad is going to straight blame Alex.
See, I think that he's gonna, I don't know. I think there's gonna be more shade towards Lori than she had him. She cried over it. She was mad. But even months ago, Chad's attorney refused to call her Lori Daybell. He would call her Lori Vallow. I remember that. He made a point that he was not, that was Lori Vallow. And I believe that there's other times he's thrown shade at her too. I think you might be right. It might not be like fully turning, but I could see it maybe. I definitely think I think Chad will not cry and be mad like Lori was over it. I think he's like,
No.
hey, whatever we gotta do.
No, and look what Lori's attorney said in closing. Chad's stupid books. That Chad was was essentially she wasn't leveling up when she got with Chad, when she chose Chad over Charles, she was actually going backwards financially and
Right.
physically, you know?
But see,
I think
she was for that. Nate said she cried and was mad that they said that. She was not happy with them for doing that. I find that interesting. I think that if Chad's attorney does that, I don't think he will be mad about it. You know what I mean? I think he doesn't. I don't know. I get a different vibe because his attorney's already thrown some shade at Lori.
yeah. Yeah. I just don't know that see, but blaming Lori is not going to be I don't know how Chad's going to get around this. I don't see how blaming Lori would be a beneficial strategy for him because frankly, at the end of the day, those when his cell phone and Alex's cell phone pinged out there in the pet cemetery, Lori was with Melanie Pawlowski in Missouri. So he sure can't
Right.
blame, you know. And the other
Well,
truth of the matter is that Lori, Lori and Chad and Alex were all three together the night that the last photo of JJ was taken. The last time that anybody saw him, they were all three together. And
and
guess who else was there? Melanie P. and
yep.
Melanie G. and David Warwood with his nightmare in the middle of the night, and he needed a blessing.
Well, Melanie, I can't with her. But yeah, I think that. Oh man, I lost my train of thought, and I had something good about that. But hold on, maybe it'll come back to me in a second. Let me think. Damn it.
The sketchy nightmare, exactly, ATS News. I don't think I don't know. You think so, Corky? I don't know. I just don't see that as
Oh,
I don't what, babe? Hit it. What were you gonna say?
it was that Chad's attorney has also thrown quite a lot of shade at Melanie. So if he like even more than Lori, because he has said some things, like I said, referring to her as fallow and different things like that. But he was like pretty hard on Melanie on that cross exam, and like since then he even I don't know. There's other things that he's done and said like he was pressing for records from a grand jury, and I don't know and then he was asking about if anybody had been offered a deal to testify and things like that. So to me it seemed like he was hinting around about Melanie.
Oh yeah.
Wanting to
No, I
know.
will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Chad's Pryor, no me gusta Melanie G at all. Not even a little. He does not like her, and I don't. That's the one thing I like about Mr. Pryor is how much he detests Melanie G and doesn't even try to hide it. Because I don't like her either. I don't like her, and I don't like her bangs.
I think he came to jury selection, and I think he didn't come, if I remember correctly, he wasn't there for like a witness or two, but then when Melanie took the stand, he was back and sitting there cheery-eyed, ready to listen. Reporters that were talking about him being in the courtroom. Yeah. So.
Well, I'll say this. I don't know. I don't think that if anybody was offered a deal or got a deal. Because let's be honest, who would be offered a deal of non-prosecution and not take it? You know? So if there was a deal between anybody, the defense would have to know it. The prosecution would have to disclose that. So I don't think any of them had a deal. So,
I
Crime
don't know.
Curious,
I don't think that's right.
his exact charges are exactly the same as Lori's, except for Tammy. Well, no, no, that's not true. All of their charges are exactly the same. Lori and Chad's
I
charges were
have one.
exactly the same.
Is it possible because of now this was in like other hearings leading up to the trial before they were separated. He was asking about other grand jury meetings and trying to, I don't know, like pressing something about that. Now, I wonder if there has been a grand jury for like Melanie and they said no, or, or for somebody else, or I don't know.
That's possible.
It's a little confusing with too, because remember we were talking earlier, the way it's dated, the way it says she was charged. I don't know. It's confusing on when exactly this took place. So
Okay, so think about it like this in terms of what happened with Kohberger. Bryan Kohberger was charged with first-degree murder and 4 counts of first-degree murder and burglary when December, what was it? What was the date he was charged? Hold on. Let me look it up for sure.
Yeah, it was like the 30th or so 30. I don't know. Is it something like that?
It was
but
the
look
end
it
of
up.
December. Hold on,
But
I'm gonna
so
look it up. But I think you're right. But he was
but was
indicted. Go ahead. What were you gonna
right?
say?
But his wasn't under. So it was like I get, but hers was under seal and his wasn't. Basically, is the difference, right?
Oh, hers
Like
is
she was already charged months ago because it was sealed until now when the grand jury indicted her or something like that. Because it says that she was charged in 2022 or something. Let me pull it up.
Okay, so let me say, okay. So Bryan Kohberger was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and burglary, 1 charge of burglary on the 30th of December, on December 30th, 2022. Okay, but he was indicted on the murders on 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary on May 16th, 2023. You can be charged. It just is. There will be no preliminary hearing. It's the same thing.
No,
That's what I'm
listen to
trying
this.
to
I just
say.
found the grand.
Okay.
Okay, I found the paperwork, and actually, it's okay. The state of Arizona versus Lori Vallow, count 1, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. The grand jurors of Maricopa County accused Lori Vallow on February 24th, 2022. The grand jury indicted her last year. It's just, it was kept secret until now.
Then
February, it says
Brandon
the grand
Bourduex or for Charles.
Yes. Wait, hold on. Conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Hold on. These were just unsealed, posted 2 hours ago, but let me see. That at least one of them would engage in conduct constituting the offense of first-degree premeditated murder. It doesn't say. Oh, it does. Brandon. Yep, Brandon.
Okay.
Brandon Bourduex.
So
her charge is not a murder. It's to commit murder.
Right.
That's death penalty charges, right?
Oh, don't get me wrong.
I know it's
life
in prison.
It's a life without possibility of parole.
Okay. Yeah, because
on Brandon. On Charles, though, those are death penalty charges.
What is his? Is his murder or is his conspiracy too? I can't remember.
I think
it's murder then.
I think she's charged the same way in Arizona that she was charged in Idaho. Like she's charged with conspiracy to commit first-degree murder in the death of Charles Vallow and first-degree murder in against Charles Vallow. I think that's how she's charged both ways. Because that's how she
Well,
was
I
charged in
sent you the
Idaho.
indictment.
All right, let me look at it.
Okay. Well, yeah, so you can take a look. And then let me look at. Okay, it says for Charles, is conspiracy. Charles is conspiracy and Brandon? Because Justin Lum reported that Brandon was attempted murder, but you see in what I just sent you, that's not the charge. It's actually conspiracy.
Yeah, I know that when I listened to the one on Law and Crime, that they said they were surprised
Mhm.
it wasn't attempted murder
Oh,
as
okay.
well.
So Justin Lum yesterday put attempted murder, so he must have just thought that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says on 6/29/21, a grand jury in Arizona just handed down an indictment against Lori Vallow-Daybell for conspiracy to commit murder in connection with her July 2019 shooting death of her fourth husband, Charles. So 2 conspiracy charges. So then it is death penalty, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you said that you had Charles was death penalty. You had thought.
Yeah, I think Charles is. I think she
So
is
she's
death.
oh God.
They could seek the death penalty. Will they? I don't know, but they could.
So they're like, you want to know why we're coming to get her over Charles? Oh, it's not just conspiracy to commit murder of Charles. It's conspiracy to commit murder of Brandon too.
Mm-hmm.
And we're coming to get her ass. And I'm
I think they're coming for. I think they're coming
um,
for Melanie too, both of them. Because if there was
oh,
a
I hope and
deal,
pray so.
that would
Because
be
they need
important. Yeah. If there was a deal, that would be information that the prosecution would definitely have to disclose to the defense.
mm-mm.
I don't know if
One.
I don't know. Let me look it up. No way. I don't know. Because well, let me look it up.
Well, even the news said that we watched that day. Remember, they're like, Arizona does have the death penalty, but they didn't say conspiracy was a death penalty charge. So, yeah, just look it up and then we'll know for sure. For conspiracy for Brandon and Charles. That's crazy.
Okay.
I can't believe Brandon charges that. And that means when you conspire. But this is the thing, in the indictment, it says she conspired with Alex. That's it. Let me go look at that again.
Hold on, I need to
Because
look
it
it up.
said Lori Vallow on or about October 2nd with the intent to promote or aid the commission of an offense, to wit, Lori Vallow agreed with Alexander Cox that at least one of them would engage in conduct constituting the offense of first-degree premeditated murder. So he is the only other person listed in the indictment. That is interesting. It could be done purposefully, but still, why? That just doesn't make sense to me. Because with conspiracy, that means it has to be more than one person, right? You're with other people planning something.
Let me look it up. Okay, March 21st, 2023. Lori Vallow won't face death penalty in murder case. I don't think Arizona is seeking it. Hold on. Unless they're talking about this case on April 3rd. Hold on. No, this is about their other case.
First. So that would qualify it. It would?
I don't
Ava?
know. I'm trying to figure it out. Oh, Ava.
Yeah, Ava put that, but she's looking it up too. But yeah, I'm glad you're looking. And Meg says, yes, I would like to know for sure. Thanks for looking it up. Me too.
Because
See?
I don't
We
think
learned-
they've talked about it. I don't think it's been released yet. I don't know. It's very confusing. Let me see what.
Well, let me Google. And
I'm I'm googling any articles because it's not clear.
is conspiracy to commit murder. Sentence and death or life in prison. Let's see. You got to be. Dang, there's a lot of qualifications for the death penalty. A lot in Arizona. That's crazy. I can't get, like, the defendant has been or was previously convicted of a serious offense. They have to hit all these qualifications to be death penalty qualified. That's interesting.
Okay, so this is why it was unsealed. So according to the indictment, the grand jury accused Vallow-Daybell of the conspiracy charge in February 2022. The Associated Press reported that indictments are typically sealed in Arizona until a defendant can be served. The Maricopa County Attorney's Office, in an email, told the Idaho Statesman that it had, quote, received permission from the court to unseal and disclose the indictment. In addition, the attorney's office said that until Vallow-Daybell is formally served the indictment, a case will not be created by the county clerk. The Maricopa County Attorney's Office plans to extradite Vallow-Daybell to Arizona after she's sentenced in Idaho and transferred to the Idaho Department of Correction. The extradition can take several weeks to several months, the statement said. Let's see. We know. Nobody is talking about whether it is or not. I can't find it.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Conspiracy to commit murder in Arizona from Jackson White Law. It's a lawyer there. It says, oh, wait. Yeah, okay. If you are convicted of conspiracy to commit murder in Arizona, you may face harsh penalties that include jail time. A person convicted of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder may be sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole only after serving a minimum of 25 years. Let's see if there's anything else they can get. But that life in prison, I mean, damn. She's already doing that, but a couple more won't hurt for her next probation.
Yes, Crime Curious, they
Let's
do.
see.
A person may be found guilty except insane if at the time of the commission of the criminal act the person was afflicted with a mental disease or defect of such severity that the person did not know the criminal act was wrong. A mental disease or defect constituting legal insanity is an affirmative defense.
It is in Arizona.
Yes.
Wow. Oh, I could definitely see that going that way. And it might be true. That's the thing. But would that mean she would go to a mental hospital rather than life in prison in Idaho?
No.
Oh,
because
hell.
Idaho doesn't have the insanity defense.
I know, but if Arizona is extraditing her after she's sentenced there, where does she do her time first?
She does her time first in Idaho, and then she can go do her time in Arizona.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
But see, the thing of it
Now, what if
is,
she's found by reason of
ooh,
insanity in Arizona? Then
it's a
she just
it's
goes
a high
to jail.
bar, just like Colorado.
I know. I'm just saying she's a lot closer than
Ooh.
Letitia, you know.
Oh, well, yeah.
She
I don't know.
been found not competent twice by real professionals that, you know, she's also had family members try to get her help before. Her uncle literally just said on the news the other day, well, she's still in her delusion, you know, we can't even talk to her about it. We can talk to her about surface level stuff, but you know, and so I don't know. I think that will be really interesting to see how that works out.
Okay, but
I don't want
I mean, it will
the
be very
hospital.
interesting because I'll say this, like, for example, what the uncle said, right? She's still in her delusion. Okay. Most people would agree that thinking that God or Jesus or both of them would ever actually instruct a person to unalive their child or any child for that matter, right? That people, you can say that if somebody believes that that is a delusion, but under the law, a delusion would be seeing or hearing or experiencing something that's absolutely not real. And so while and what else is tricky about it is that religion is tied into it.
Right.
So that's going to complicate it.
That cause they can't use certain things, can they? Because
This
that
is
is
going to
crazy.
be
And
this
that's
is going to be really complicated because see, Lori can be declared mentally incompetent to stand trial, right? But and let's say that she has, just as an example, when they test her, they say she's not competent, right? That just means she can't participate in the trial. That doesn't mean that she was insane, legally insane at the time of whatever the crime was. Like she has some type of mental health issue. For example, bipolar. So they diagnose her bipolar, and then they get her on medication, right? And then they try it again. I mean, there is people there's I cannot remember the case, but there is a case, and I cannot remember where it is either, where this man who has been sitting in jail for 7 years because his ass still hasn't been found competent to stand trial. So it's a very, very, this is a complicated and complex, multi-layered, multifaceted situation. And it's really a catch 22 for Lori, because if Lori goes in and says that she is not guilty by reason of insanity on the charges pertaining to Brandon and or Charles, right? That's an acknowledgement of guilt. She said she did it, but she cannot be held um but prison isn't for her. She needs a mental health mental health hospital, right? But all of the conversations about Charles, Brandon, Tammy, JJ, and Tylee are all wrapped up in the conversations about Charles and Brandon. All of it is. The conversations take place over a long period of time multiple text messages, multiple emails, et cetera, et cetera. So how are you going to say that you did one thing but not the other when they're all interwoven?
Yeah, it's true. I don't know. I think I found the facts on the possible punishment. So this is like an
Okay.
attorney's website, dmcantor.com in Arizona. And he's basically advertising his business and stuff like that. And it says possible punishment for conspiracy. If a person has conspired to commit a class 1 felony, i.e. murder, then they can be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole without the possibility of release until they have served 25 years. In all other cases, the conspiracy carries the same felony level and class of punishment as the most serious offense. For example, if your offense was a class 3 felony, you would be convicted and sentenced as though you committed a class 3 felony. But in first degree murder, it is 25 years and then you can be possibly released. That's the only one that you don't have the same. That's basically, well, I read it word for word, so that's what it says. And then it goes on, like in more detail. But so I don't think it does qualify for death penalty. But I know that video we watched, they were talking about how I think Arizona is, but
Arizona does have the death penalty. Maricopa County is the county my mom was born in. She grew up in Phoenix, Arizona. I was born in Pima County in Tucson.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
My grandparents used to live in Tucson.
I miss it. My dad's side of the family is there. She does need a damn exorcism.
They like the weather and just everything. They loved it.
Yeah, I don't know, no way. The thing of it is, and I thought this, I will say this. I thought that the prosecution in their closing arguments made an excellent point about addressing religion. You in the United States of America, we have freedom of religion. You can believe anything that you want to believe or not believe, right? What you can't do is use what you choose to believe or not to believe as a justification to unalive other people. And so he made it very clear that they were not putting their belief system on trial. What they were putting on trial is them using their belief system to justify killing 3 people in Idaho. Now, as far as how they're going to handle all of this with Lori remains to be seen, honestly.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I'll be watching every step of the way because it's gonna be real interesting. And you even hear Kay and Larry. This is just one of 3. We still have 2 more to go.
Exactly. And I think this is, see, I think that this is what I think about Melanie BP. Okay. Now, I don't know why Idaho can't go after her in some way, shape, or form in the deaths related to JJ, Tylee, and Tammy, because the text messages are very clear that it was discussed between Lori and Melanie, period. She knew what the score was, literally. Okay. But the difference is, I don't know why she can't be charged in Idaho, but I will say this. I think that Arizona likely will prosecute her in some way, shape, or form, because Melanie is the only person who knew Brandon's address. And I did watch, I have to finish it though, the interview on Hidden
Oh,
True Crime. Huh?
I think didn't Alex help her move her stuff, or was that after he got shot at? Remember when they said like all the kids' stuff was out on the side of the road? She threw a bunch of the kids' stuff away when she left, or after something like that. I don't remember when that was.
I'm going to go back and watch all that stuff, and I'm going to write out a timeline for us so we can put stuff together. But
Yes.
when I listened to
And
that
as we
interview,
wait,
yeah,
sorry, our
no,
delay.
you're
I
good.
was saying, yeah, as we learn along the way.
Exactly, as we learn along the way. But I did watch that interview with Lori and Melanie and Brandon's friend. Did you know that Melanie Gibb was married to a Brandon before she married what's his name? David?
No, I knew she was married before and had like a child. I don't know details. I think she has like an autistic kid, but I don't know anything else than that.
Yeah, her first
Because I
husband was
remember they were
Brandon.
like the way she talks. That's crazy,
Isn't it?
how do you? Well, so was that their kid? The
I
her
haven't got to
child
that part yet.
also had autism, because okay.
Yeah, I haven't got there yet. I'm keeping an
Interesting.
ear out for that. But I did watch that interview with Melanie
Well,
and Brandon's friend on Hidden True Crime. And the things that Brandon's friends did to keep him safe, to keep those children safe, while at the same time putting themselves at risk, was I was blown away by it. I was just shocked because yeah.
Will you send it to me?
Yes, I will send it to
Okay.
you because it's interesting. And but yeah, I think that I think there's a good chance that Melanie's going to be charged in Arizona.
She needs. I hope she
I
is.
think
I
she
don't see
I
a
hope
way
she is
around
too.
it, but why isn't she? Why wouldn't she be on the indictment if she was part of like the conspiracy? Because it lists Alex.
I don't know. I don't know. That's why I'm wondering what the deal is. I mean, there's more than I don't know. I don't know why they haven't. Perhaps because they haven't introduced. Maybe they haven't taken it to a grand jury yet. I don't know. I don't know.
Because if redacted, we would see that, right? Would they wouldn't write it out without having her at all to keep it from
Hey T,
the
what you
public?
doing? I don't know how they would handle that. That's a good question. But so many people have asked the same question, and it's not. And I did watch the stuff that on Law and Crime that talked about it, and it is not out of the realm of possibilities. Hey, Stacy, it is not out of the realm of possibilities for Melanie Pawlowski to get charged. And that's from legal experts. That's not just from your girl. That's from people who know what they're talking, like who went to school for this shit. So it's
I've
not out
always
of the
been
realm of possibilities.
Well, good, because that she needs to be, in my opinion. But I've always been really interested in her and her side of things, and I think that's because even when they did their interviews, they were so like obscure. They were not like, I don't know, they're like, Lori loves her kids. She would never do, she wouldn't do anything to her. I don't know. It's just she had a lot of information, I know, and she kept her mouth shut about it.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Ian like wired up when they
Yeah.
prior to doing that interview? So how is Ian going to sit there and act like he can't believe that Lori would be capable of something like this?
I need to go back and watch their interviews because they have a couple. There's a couple different ones. We should do that because it's been so long and my memory's not very clear on it. But I just remember she was like, basically her stance was she didn't know anything.
Right.
And and we know that's not true.
Exactly, because how okay, if you don't know anything, right, then how can you go to your new husband with concerns and fear if you know nothing?
Yeah, exactly.
If you know nothing, what do you have to fear?
Yeah. Why are you so worried and stressed out? And no, you were sitting there calling Chad father while he is saying that your little boy is 8% on the death. Like he's just about to be killed. He's about to be a zombie. And he's talking about causing him more pain and, lowering his pain tolerance and all that weird stuff against a baby, against your baby, and you're calling him father. She knew exactly what was going on. You can never convince me different.
Okay, exactly. And here's the deal. She was the closest out of all the females that were around Lori Vallow at that time. Melanie was the closest to Lori. I think more so than even Melanie Gibb, because Melanie Gibb was around a lot, but Melanie Pawlowski was around a lot more. She was around all the days, all the time, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so,
and she looked up to Lori.
Yeah, she did. And so you have a woman you have two women who have children. Both women's children have been deemed dark. Woman A, Lori, her children have been deemed dark, and they're missing. Nobody has seen them. They're gone. They have vanished. Your children, person B, have also been deemed dark. And you don't make the connection, but you're afraid, and you're so afraid and you're so concerned that you go to your new husband that you've been married to for 6 minutes and you talk about these fears, these concerns, these worries that you have. And your new husband says, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to mic up. I will wear a wire, which he didn't. I will turn my phone on so I can record conversations. But you don't know anything. That makes no sense to me, just on a logical basis.
Nope,
just thinking completely rationally, which is very difficult for me. No, just kidding. But I mean,
she knew everything, in my opinion. But
she knew what she okay. She may not have known for sure that dark equals death, but after JJ and Tylee went missing, she sure did. And I'm talking about when they knew they went missing, not when Kay and Larry knew. I'm talking about the people that were
right.
Alex, Melanie B, or Melanie P. Well, she was B then. BP and Lori and Chad were all living next to each other in the same complex. They were around each
And
other 25/8. So you're telling me, and the time that and the time that Melanie went to go fetch her children, which caught her a trespassing charge, Alex was with her. So you didn't know? Stop
well,
it.
after Charles got killed when he was a zombie, and then the kids go missing, and there was some time between that and when Tammy got killed. So, like, I don't know, you can't tell me she didn't know. And by the time she was sitting down with the news, she damn sure knew what had
Yeah.
happened to those kids.
Exactly. And this is the other thing. One of the things that I have not heard Ian or Melanie BP talk about is getting any type of therapy to be what I would, I guess, deprogrammed. So, and Ian is still married to Melanie, which is weird because the way it sounds like they were put together because for no other reason than Melanie BP was supposed to basically recruit Ian. So he already knew what was going on as far as like the basics of this fringe offshoot of the Mormon religion, right? He knew what that was about. Now you're telling me that after all of the things have been said and done, you've been released from your subpoena. You don't what you mean, hey? You knew that this was you stay married to her? Are they trauma bonded? Like I don't get it.
Mm. I don't know. It's very weird. Now they have a baby, and
There's no way I would be staying married to somebody like that. I'm sorry. I would be out because I would never be able to trust them. I would always wonder if they're susceptible to being manipulated like this one time, then they might be then they're susceptible to being manipulated like that another time. And now I'm the husband. And we see what happens to ex-husbands or current husbands before the divorce has gone through.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, I don't understand.
Yep.
No way. I would not feel safe. And there is just something about his testimony, that written statement, the interviews that he's given. There is something that doesn't sit right with me and feels like they're saying what they have to say, but they don't mean it. Like they're all in on it. We're all going to say that, we can't believe we bought into this, how ridiculous we were, blah, 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 blah. But we know the truth. We're still devout. We still believe. I don't know. It's just weird to me. Something does not putting together.
Well, the fact that they all three have the same attorney, I still can't get over that. That's crazy. Zulema, Melanie Gibb, and who was the other one? Why is my brain not working?
Melanie P.
Wow, that's just crazy to me.
I think they all still believe. I do. I really do think that they all still believe. I do.
I'd be interested to know a little bit more about that attorney. Just like
Okay.
his background
Put him on the list.
Okay. It's on the list.
Eric Smith, congratulations. You've made the list. That's
funny.
I don't know. I just think that they all still believe it because I've been watching a lot of videos, podcasts. They're videos, but they're really podcasts. But anyway, about this case and about Mormonism. And one thing that I've learned from the things that I've been studying about the Mormon religion is that they give a testimony, okay? But what I've listened to on one specific podcast, several people who have left the Mormon church. And I've heard Mormons give testimony when, like, they have, seen Jesus or whatever their testimony is about, right? Not like a court testimony. But I've also watched Mormons who have left the church and the way that they speak and what they say, and it's a testimony. It's just a different kind of testimony. And I don't hear that in Melanie Gibb, Ian, David, or Melanie Pawlowski. None of them. I don't know how to explain it. That's the best way that I know how to explain it.
Yeah, it makes sense because I've watched a lot of the people who've left Jehovah's Witness, like people who grew up in the church and left and stuff like that, like a similar thing. And they do have a different tone, a different attitude about things. And yeah.
And they do. So it's just interesting to hear how Mormons speak when I'm not going to say whether the church is, their religion is good, bad, real, whatever, because that's not my place. I would never do something like that. But it is interesting when they leave what they say. They use some very specific words like, I found it not to be true. That's a big one. And that's a very specific phrase. And I remember when the Mormon missionaries came out to my house, and we had some really great conversations, and they invited me to go to attend their church. And they said to me, once you step inside the church, just open your heart to God and you will know it to be true. It means a very specific thing in that religion. And so when they leave the church, they say, I found it not to be true. It's something that they all say. And what I've not heard from hey Jody, it's cool. Hey Kaleidoscope. Good to see everyone. What I've not heard yet from any of the inner circle, or as I like to call them, the B team, I've not heard them say that. We believed, and then we found it not to be true. Because that's a very specific thing that means something. So.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I'm very curious about that. Oh, but listen, you guys, you got anything you want to say, Ellie? Because I feel like you didn't get to talk very much.
No, I did. I got to talk a lot. I don't have anything right now. I look forward to watching like Melanie Gibb stuff and not Melanie Gibb, Melanie Pete, the interviews, like her body cams and all that stuff. That short video of her dancing and acting like Dora the Explorer and all that video.
Oh, so what's gonna work? Teamwork.
Oh my God! Yes.
You know what show that's from?
What was it?
Wonder Pets.
Oh, okay. Why was I thinking it was Dora?
I don't know.
But
at first I thought it was Backyardigans, but then I can hear, my youngest used to watch that, and I can hear her singing it. What's gonna work? teamwork with the duck with the little hat and all that. Yeah, I remember that very, very distinctly. Chad was excommunicated. Julie Rowe was excommunicated.
We're on our way.
I'm gonna look it up. Hold on.
Just right stuff. I forget all the words, but
We're
yes,
not too big and we're not too tough.
yes.
Hold on, let me see. Wonder. Oh, come on. You've been here we go. I was gonna say, you've been listening to me this whole last time.
I thought they Chad, I thought they said
The phone.
something with
The phone is ringing. This is serious.
discommunicated or whatever. What's the word? I thought they said. I thought the church something with Chad Amber's question on this.
Oh,
thing.
the excommunicated. That's what that's called.
Okay, let me see.
Hold on,
Chad Daybell.
All right, hold on.
He was excommunicated from the Mormon Church after he declared he was a prophet. Daily Mail can reveal exclusively on December 24th, 2019. Man on the run with new wife. This is before the kids were even found. Was kicked out of the Mormon Church for declaring he was a prophet. Wow. So yeah, I was kicked out before he was ever arrested and the kids were found or anything.
Are y'all ready? Listen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I'll never hear that the same after watching her sing and dance to it like she was.
Yeah. The phone is ringing. That's going to be stuck in my damn head now.
Yeah, so Teresa said that Nate Eaton has his excommunicated papers, but whatever. For declaring he was a prophet.
Yeah, because only the president can declare, the president of the Mormon Church is that he is the prophet. So I forget who the president is currently of the LDS Church, but that is the prophet. Just like in the offshoot, the FLDS, Warren Jeffs is the prophet. There's only one. So to declare yourself a prophet is to live in apostasies. I think is how you say it.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I think that's it, you guys, for us tonight. But I want to thank everybody for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you, Allie, for coming up. We got a lot of work to do.
Thank you. I know we do. And in the morning, I have a party. It's not a field trip. It's like a end of the year party at a petting zoo.
I want to go.
It's early too. I think I have to leave at 9 in the morning.
Ooh. Yeah, we better get off of here, you guys.
But yeah, thank you for having me. It was fun. I always enjoy talking about this stuff with you, all the way from
me too.
Idaho to Arizona today.
I just think it's funny that the term secret grand jury is being used. All grand juries are secret.
Oh my God, the way that people exaggerate and it's really depressing to see all the
is. Yeah,
and then sometimes I'll get comments of people that are just watching and hearing other rumors, and of course, you believe it when you trust the creator. I mean, it's just
I know. All right, you guys. Thanks for being here. Thank you to the mods. Welcome to the new members. Thank you for everything, you guys. I will see y'all later. Good night.
Bye, guys. Thank you.